You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hi, Young and the Restless fans. I've got your full roster of weekly spoilers for Monday, February 3rd, all the way through Friday, February 7th. We're going to see Diane warning Kyle and Nate stunned by a double Damian twist. It's crazy stuff. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt. If you're not subscribed, please click that button. Let's get into what is happening next week on Y&R, beginning with Monday, February 3rd, season 52, episode 82. So Daniel fills in Summer and Phyllis, tells them that Sharon was exonerated in Heather's murder. And of course, Phyllis doesn't believe it, says she's not going to let her get away with it. But Daniel said Ian confessed before he died and tells her about the shooting and all that. And Summer confirms what Daniel is saying because she knows about it from the Newman side of her family. But Phyllis thinks Michael probably invented this deathbed confession, which is funny because Phyllis is spot on. The family agreed to all say it, and they did. So Phyllis says either way, Sharon still framed him, but Daniel says all the charges against Sharon were dropped, which upsets Phyllis. Summer just wants to move forward, and finally they get Phyllis to agree. She wants to focus on this business project she wants to do with Daniel. And right on cue, Billy Abbott has a proposal for them. He's planning to build a media empire and tells Daniel and Phyllis he has the funding. They should come work with him. Daniel says this is more revenge because you're going after Newman Media to compete, but Billy's like, no, not like that. Phyllis is excited. Daniel isn't so sure because he knows how things can go with Billy, but he said that Jack is backing him and funding him, so it definitely seems legit. And speaking of the elder Abbott, Kyle talks to his dad about Ian and Jordan and their scheme and everything that happened with Claire. And Jack leaves because he hears all this news. And then Kyle's telling his mom, Diane, about Claire's ordeal and just how strong she is and how amazed he is by her. And Diane notices that Kyle seems to be falling for Claire, and she's worried about Victor causing troubles and just warns Kyle to keep an eye out for problems. Adam, Nick, Victoria, and Nikki all get Victor settled at the house. They're fussing over him, and they tell the mustache that they all told Chance Ian confessed to everything before he died. Jack shows up, and Victor gripes that he's in his house. After some snark back and forth, Jack leaves, and Victor is shouting at his back to keep Kyle away from Claire, but Jack says they're adults and they can do what they want to. Victoria wants to know what's Victor's problem with Claire and Kyle, and he starts talking about Kyle's past with women. He's grouchy and in pain, and Victor tells Nikki he's determined to make Claire dislike the Abbotts, just like he does. Jack goes home and tells Diane Victor is targeting Kyle and Claire, just as she worried about. Audra brings coffee for Nate and his brother Damian, leaves the guys to talk. Nate comes clean immediately. No job offer. Amy asked me to find you, but Damian doesn't want to talk about his mom, and Nate said is urgent. You really need to hear her out, but Damian just storms out. Meanwhile, Audra's talking to Amy and tells her about her terrible parents and all this good stuff. Well, upshot, Damian isn't really Damian. The guy that we saw in LA who has been meeting with Nate and then who turned up here in Genoa City is not Damian. That's his friend Holden, 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 like from Catcher in the Rye. So you'll see the other actor on Monday. His name is Jermaine Rivers, and on his IMDb page, it lists him as the real Damian King. So the other guy we've been seeing, Nathan Owens, is actually his friend Holden. So Holden tells Damian Amy sent Nate to find him, and Damian wants Holden to keep pretending to be him until he can figure out what is really going on with these people. Tuesday, February 4th, season 52, episode 83. Sally is provoking Phyllis. She's pushing her buttons. So Phyllis comes over to see Billy's new place, and I would suspect that that might be where Sally is. And, you know, Phyllis loves to say ugly things about about Sally, called her basic and all this kind of stuff, even though Summer actually really likes her and her design aesthetic. So I wonder if Phyllis is going to say catty things about Billy's new decor. Damian is keeping a big secret from Nate. Well, we found out what it was on Monday. It's going to continue on Tuesday. And Nick is there to help Sharon get the closure that she needs. She still thinks she should be held accountable and should pay for framing Daniel and dumping Heather's body. Nick just wants her to move on. Wednesday, February 5th, season 52, episode 84. Jack has some advice for Billy. Not that he was asking Jack for advice, but his big brother likes to give it. And it is nice that he is funding this new venture. And I wonder if Jack's advice is something like, hey, Billy, don't waste my money on a vendetta. Make something real out of this. Meanwhile, Victor spends time with Victoria and he opens up to her. I'm sure the whole Claire Kyle thing is going to come up again. And Diane decides on something important on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, February 6th, it's episode 85 of season 52. And Jack has to defend his actions, defend what he's done. What has he done lately? Maybe it's the investing in Billy thing. Other than that, he's been pretty copacetic. Nikki has a life lesson that she wants to teach Claire. And I wonder if this ties all back to Victor not wanting her near Kyle and whether Nikki will advise her to take it slow. We'll see. Amy and Nate get some shocking news. And I wonder if this is about Damian, because if Amy sees Holden, she is immediately going to know that's not my son. So maybe there's a run-in. I'm very excited about that. There's a scene next week where Amy's over at Nate's place and she doesn't look like she's feeling well at all. And hopefully Damian will soften when he finds out his mother is terminally ill. On Friday, February 7th, episode 86 of season 52, we have Chloe giving Sally a lesson in Genoa City history. And I wonder if this history lesson happens to involve Phyllis and Billy and their messy past, because showrunner Josh Griffith has said he is slowly going to introduce Phyllis into Billy and Sally's relationship under the premise of a triangle. Not a big fan of the triangle. So I just wonder if Chloe is going to explain some of their very messy past. Somebody drops by to surprise Nate. Maybe it'll be the real Damian, And Daniel continues to be less than thrilled that Phyllis has decided on this alliance with Billy and taking him up on his job offer. We'll see if Daniel accepts also.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.